My father's hand hit my face so fast the sound barely reached me before the sting did. A bright white flash swallowed my vision, and for a moment the entire kitchen in my Pearl District condo tilted like a camera knocked off balance. He didn't shout. He didn't warn me. He just struck me the instant I said the one word he never expected from me. No. I kept my hand against my cheek, steadying myself while my mother, Celeste, froze beside the counter. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. It was the same silence she used when she wanted to hide behind the shock instead of accountability. Victor. My father looked at me with something between fury and disbelief, like he couldn't decide whether he meant to hit me or not. "You do not speak to me that way," he said, voice low, almost shaking. I leaned back against the counter, letting the cool surface anchor me. "You asked," I said quietly. I answered. His jaw flexed, the same way it always did when the truth scraped too close to his pride. Behind him, my mother whispered, "Victor, please?" He didn't acknowledge her. He kept his eyes locked on me, as if I were the one who had crossed a line instead of the one whose face was still burning. I took a slow breath. "You cannot stay here," I said. I meant it. Celeste stepped forward, clutching her hands together. "Arya, sweetheart, we just need time. Everything has fallen apart. We lost our home. We have nowhere to go." That lie again, soft, practiced, shaped to sound like desperation instead of manipulation. I almost flinched at how easily it came out of her. "You did not lose your home," I said, keeping my voice calm, almost gentle. "You sold it. You took every dollar of it and poured it into Mason's company. And now you're trying to make my place your backup plan." My father's nostrils flared. "We helped your brother because he needed us." "And I do not?" I asked. "You have always been fine." His words landed like stones. "You do not need anything." There it was. The whole story of my life in 2 sentences. I straightened, the sting in my cheek grounding me rather than breaking me. "You need to leave," I said. Victor took one step toward me, dangerous, deliberate, before he could take another. I held up my hand. "If you touch me again," I said, "I will call the police." Celeste let out a choked breath. "Arya, please don't do this to us. I am not doing anything to you," I said. "I am finally not doing it for you. And if you're listening to this, if you've ever been pushed past your limit by the people who claim to love you, stay with me. This story matters more than I ever expected it to." Growing up, everyone in the Dawson family knew their part. Mason was the brilliant one, the son who would change the world. And me, I was the steady daughter who didn't need attention, who didn't ask for help, who never caused trouble. My mother used to smile at me and say, "You were born responsible. Arya, it makes life easier for all of us." It never sounded like a compliment, more like permission to forget I had limits. I remembered those lines as I stood in my kitchen, my cheeks still warm from my father's slap. The same old script had slipped back into place the moment they walked through my door. My father paced the living room now, voice rising. "We gave Mason everything because he has potential. You think we enjoy being here. You think we want to stay in this small place. Small. My condo, the one I bought on my own at 31, was small." I kept my voice level. "You planned to stay long term. You did not bring 4 suitcases for a weekend." My mother clasped her hands. "You are misreading everything. We only want a little stability until we figure things out." "You should have figured things out before selling your home," I said. The room went still. For a moment, even my father stopped moving. He turned sharply. "We did what we had to do for Mason, and I'm telling you what I have to do for myself," I replied. It was the first time in my life the sentence felt true. The night they showed up, rain hammered the hallway outside my condo. I had barely kicked off my shoes when the doorbell rang. 3 sharp, frantic chimes that sounded like an emergency. When I opened the door, My parents stood there with 4 suitcases stacked beside them, like they were checking into a hotel. Celeste's eyes brimmed instantly. Aria, honey? We lost everything. The house is gone. We have nowhere to go. Her voice shook just enough to sound believable. Victor stepped past me without waiting for permission, dragging 2 of the suitcases inside. Your mother is exhausted. Let us in. I moved aside because saying no still felt like lighting a fuse. You can come in for tonight. Celeste clung to my arm, whispering, Thank you, sweetheart, as if gratitude could cover the sharp calculation in her eyes. Within minutes, the shift in ownership began. Victor dropped onto my sofa, grabbed the remote, and turned on the television. This thing needs replacing, he muttered, tapping the side of it. The picture is too dim. Celeste wandered into my kitchen, opening cabinets, making soft, judgmental sounds. Oh, Aria, you really should organize these spices differently. I will fix it. You do not need to fix anything, I said. She smiled without turning around. I am your mother. Let me help. I watched her rearrange my shelves like she had lived here for years. The knot in my stomach tightened. Victor shifted loudly on the sofa. We will stay only until we stabilize. A few days, maybe a week. You brought enough luggage for a month, I said. He paused but did not look at me. Do not start. Aria. Celeste stepped out of the kitchen, brushing imaginary dust off her hands. This place already feels like home. And that was when I finally understood they had not come here for refuge. They had come here to move in. By the 3rd morning, my condo no longer sounded like mine. The familiar quiet had been replaced by the scrape of my father's screwdriver and the soft humming my mother always used when she wanted to make a place hers. Celeste flipped pancakes on my skillet like she was recreating a Beaverton Saturday from my childhood. I hope you do not mind. Aria, I thought it would be nice to bring a little warmth back into this home. It is already warm, I said. Victor tightened a hinge on one of my cabinet doors with unnecessary force. This thing was loose. I told you last time we visited. You have not visited in almost 2 years, I replied. He stopped briefly. Well, it is loose now. Their presence filled every inch of the space, and every minute they stayed, my own home shrank around me. I tried again. Careful. Controlled. Have you 2 spoken to anyone about rentals yet? Celeste froze for half a breath, barely noticeable unless you were watching her closely. Then the performance resumed. It has only been a few days. Aria, we need time to breathe. Victor scoffed. Not everything is a checklist like your life. My life works, I said. He turned, eyes sharp. Are you suggesting ours does not? I met his stare without flinching. You said you lost your house. I am asking what steps you are taking next. We will handle it, Celeste insisted, stacking plates on the counter. Do not worry so much. I am not worried. I said, I am trying to understand, Victor muttered, always pushing, always judging. The accusation slid across the room like a knife. I swallowed it, letting the weight settle inside me. They were not overwhelmed or confused. They were settling in. That afternoon, I stepped out onto my balcony, away from their voices, away from the clatter of dishes being rearranged. The air was cold enough to sting my lungs when I breathed in. I pulled out my phone and stared at the contact I had hovered over twice already. Julian Sparks, a friend from college, reliable, rational, someone who would not gaslight me into doubting what I saw. I pressed call. He picked up on the second ring. Aria, you okay? No, I said. I need you to check something for me. Anything. My parents say they lost their house. A pause, thoughtful. Not confused. All right. Give me the address. I will pull the records. I read it to him, my voice steady, even though my hands were not. When I finished, he exhaled slowly. I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you. When I walked back inside, The air felt heavier than when I left, like the truth was already pressing against the walls, waiting to break through. Julian called the next afternoon while I was at my desk, pretending to work. I answered before the first ring fully finished. His voice was calm, but not casual. "Arya, I found the records." My heart thudded once, heavy. "Tell me." "They did not lose their Beaverton house," he said. "They sold it voluntarily." I gripped the edge of my desk. "For how much?" $835,000, he replied. "Paid in full. No liens. No foreclosure proceedings." A slow burn started behind my ribs. Julian continued. 2 days after closing, $720,000 was wired into an account registered to Mason Dawson. His company, Arya. It is barely a company. No employees. No filings beyond the initial paperwork. I closed my eyes. "Keep going. There is more," he said quietly. "Your father and mother took a second mortgage on the smaller Portland property they bought Mason last year. About $210,000. Mason used it as collateral for a crypto algorithm investment. It looks like the entire amount evaporated within 3 weeks." My throat tightened. "So they did not lose anything?" "No," Julian said. "They gave everything away." To him, for a few seconds, neither of us spoke. The truth settled the way a heavy object settles into water, sinking straight to the bottom. Unstoppable. Julian broke the silence. "Are you safe? Do you want me to come over?" "No," I said. My voice felt different, coming out clearer, sharper. "But I know what I need to do now. I am here if you need anything," he said. "Anything at all." After I hung up, I walked into my living room. Celeste was sorting her skincare products across my dining table like she was setting up a vanity. Victor was on the sofa with his shoes off, remote in hand, arguing with someone on the phone about a loose hinge he planned to fix tomorrow. They looked comfortable. Too comfortable. My mother glanced up. "You are home early, sweetheart." My father did not even look at me. "Close the door. Arya, you are letting in cold air." I studied them, the people who lied to me, the people who gambled their future, the people who expected me to absorb the impact. And for the first time in my life, the fear I usually swallowed dissolved into something steadier. Resolve. The next morning, the smell of pancakes spread through my condo, like a fog I did not ask for. Celeste hummed while flipping them on my skillet, the same tune she used back in Beaverton when she wanted the world to believe everything was fine. Victor sat at the counter scrolling through his phone, muttering about fixing my hallway door as if he planned to live here long enough to start renovations. I stood there holding my coffee, the truth from Julian still settling like a stone in my chest. I set the mug down. "We need to talk." Celeste turned, spatula in hand. "About what?" "Sweetheart, you need to start looking for another place." Her face went still, no blinking, no breathing, just that faint stiffness she got whenever reality cornered her. Victor lowered his phone. "What is that supposed to mean?" "It means," I said, "you cannot stay here." Celeste laughed once, soft and desperate. "Arya, we told you we lost everything. We need time. You did not lose anything." I said, "You sold your house for $835,000. You wired $720,000 to Mason's company. You took a second mortgage on the Portland house for over $210,000. And then Mason lost it all." Celeste's fingers tightened around the spatula. "Who told you that I checked?" I said, "Because you would not tell me the truth." Victor stood slowly, jaw flexing. "We helped your brother because he needed a chance. You have always been fine." I met his stare. "I am not your safety net, and you cannot live here." His voice dropped an octave. "We are your parents, and this is my home." I said. Celeste stepped closer. "Arya, listen, your brother is in trouble. We need to be together right now. We need to support him." I inhaled once. You can support him somewhere else. Victor slammed his hand on the counter. Enough. No, I said. The word landed like a strike of its own. His eyes darkened. Say it again. I didn't hesitate. No, you need to leave. For a second, I saw the moment before it happened, the snap of pride, the humiliation curdling into something uglier. Victor moved first. His hand came across my face in a violent, unrestrained arc. The crack of it echoed off the walls. My vision burst white. I staggered back, steadying myself on the counter. Celeste gasped, but she did not run to me. She reached toward him. Victor stared at his hand as if it had betrayed him. I straightened slowly, my cheek flaming, my breath shaking once before settling. I picked up my phone. Celeste's voice pitched high. Arya, do not do this. He did not mean it. He hit me, I said, eyes locked on Victor. In my own home. He is stressed, she whispered. So am I said, but I'm not hitting anyone. I dialed 3 digits. Victor took a step toward me, put the phone down. I took one back. No, the dispatcher answered. My voice stayed steady. I need officers at my address. I have 2 people refusing to leave my home. One of them struck me. Celeste burst into tears, the loud, dramatic kind she used when she wanted to rewrite the narrative. Victor paced behind her, muttering curses under his breath. A neighbor, Mr. Crawford, appeared in the doorway. Arya, should I call someone? It is already handled. I said, thank you. The police arrived within minutes. 2 officers stepped inside, calm but alert. I handed them my ID and showed them the deed. They asked Victor and Celeste for theirs. They had none, ma'am. One officer said to me, do you want them removed from the property? I nodded. Yes. Victor tried arguing, authority voice, raised tone. The whole performance. It bounced off the officers like rain off stone. Celeste cried harder. We are her parents. This is our family. This is my home, I said. The officers guided them toward their suitcases. The scraping wheel sounded like the end of a chapter I should have closed years ago. The door shut behind them. For the first time in my entire life, the silence that followed belonged to me. After the officers walked my parents out, the door clicked shut with a softness that felt unreal after everything that had happened. I stood in the middle of my living room, breathing in air that finally belonged to me again. The silence was not peaceful. It pulsed with leftover adrenaline, but it was mine. I touched my cheek lightly. The sting was fading, but the heat remained. That night, I moved slowly through each room, picking up the pieces of myself I had set aside to survive them. My mother's skincare bottle sat lined up on my dining table. My father's screwdriver lay next to the cabinet he had insisted needed his touch. I collected every object they had shifted and placed them in a pile by the door. My phone rang 3 days later. I almost didn't answer when I saw the name Marissa, Mason's girlfriend. Her voice came out tight, breathless. Arya, are your parents with you? No. A shaky inhale. Mason is shutting down. Investors are calling nonstop. He will not speak. He keeps saying he ruined everything. What happened, I asked, but the line crackled. And then the call dropped. No explanation. No clarity. Just another collapsing piece of the family machine I had stepped out of. For 2 weeks, no one reached out again. Not my parents. Not Mason. Not Marissa. Then, just after sunset, on a quiet Tuesday, my phone buzzed with a name that grounded me instantly. Opal Byrne. Her voice was steady, firm, the way it had always been. Arya, darling, you need to come over. There are things you have to hear. I closed my eyes, exhaling once. The story was not finished yet. Opal lived in a small, weathered house outside the city. The kind of place that felt steady even when people were not. When she opened the door, she didn't hug me. She just touched my arm lightly and said, "They are here, inside." The air was thick with the kind of quiet that comes after days of arguing. Newspapers were rolled up on the kitchen table, a mug half empty beside them. Opal pulled out a chair. "Sit. There is something you need to see." She unrolled one of the newspapers. A headline stretched across the top: "Local technology startup under review after major financial losses." My pulse tightened. The details: location, timeline, property values lined up with Mason's project. Even without his name printed, the article pointed straight at him. "He mortgaged the Portland property your parents bought him," Opal said softly. "Most of it gone in less than a month." My jaw clenched. Of course he did. Opal didn't argue. She only pressed her hand over mine. They believed they were helping him. They never imagined how deep the hole was. The front door creaked. I looked up just in time to see my parents step inside, worn, gray around the edges. Mason followed last, shoulders slumped, eyes hollow. We took seats around Opal's old wooden table. No one claimed the head. Celeste spoke first, voice trembling. "We did not come here to fight. Aria." Victor stared at the grain of the table. "We want to explain." My voice came out steady. "Then do it." Celeste twisted her fingers together. "We sold the house because Mason's company needed a push. We truly thought we were investing in his future." "You did not tell me," I said. Victor winced. "We did not think you would understand." There it was, the lifelong refrain replayed again. Mason finally looked at me. His voice cracked. "I messed up. I thought one good month would change everything. I thought I could make them proud. At what cost?" I asked. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. Celeste's face crumpled. "We hurt you. What happened in your condo? It should never have happened." My father swallowed hard. "Hitting you was..." He shook his head. "There is no excuse." Silence stretched, fragile and painful. I folded my hands in front of me. "I cannot fix this. I will not carry the fallout anymore. But I am willing to talk. That is all I can offer." Relief flickered across their faces, not joy, not triumph. Just relief that the door wasn't locked forever. Opal exhaled like she had been holding her breath for days. "Good," she said. "Then maybe now, the real work can begin." No one disagreed. Not this time. In the weeks that followed, the chaos slowly thinned. My parents stayed with Opal, not as victims demanding rescue, but as two people learning how to stand without leaning on someone else. Mason took a warehouse job and called once a week. Not for money, but to admit he was trying. One quiet Saturday, I drove to Opal's. Victor was raking leaves. Celeste was trimming branches. Mason knelt on the porch, fixing a loose panel. For the first time in years, none of them looked larger than life. They just looked human. Celeste straightened when she saw me. "Aria," she said softly, "we are trying to do better." "I can see that," I replied. Victor nodded once. No speeches this time. No excuses. I stepped onto the porch. Mason stood, wiping his hands. "Thank you for giving me space," he said. "I needed it." I answered. Opal opened the door behind them, smiling gently. "Come in, darling. We saved you a seat." As I followed her inside, I felt something loosen, not forgiveness, not forgetting, but room to breathe. And if parts of my story echo something in yours, stay with me. We build strength together, one honest step at a time.